Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Weekly Word Pod Blast. Well, I'm Chris Hauth, and most of you know that. We probably have had a big increase in listeners just because I did the Rich Roll podcast last week. And from the response to that and all the email inquiries and so on, I think there are a lot more listeners to this pod blast. But again, I'm going to say the same thing I've been saying all along, and that is this is primarily my opinions and my thoughts, my observations from the training, from the questions of all my athletes, what I'm noticing in the industry, all kinds of different, not inner circle things, but, things that I want to share with my athletes versus sending everybody individual emails and having a little bit of a discussion around it. And sort of unloading my brain on certain topics or certain ways to go about the training or certain things I notice, whether it's in training, in the industry, in racing, etc. So, of course, a discussion usually requires two people, and this is mainly me talking. But again, based on the feedback I've gotten from the athletes and also from a few others that I don't coach but that like to listen, or that I used to coach actually, this seems to be a good forum. People seem to like the idea of me talking to them, to everybody, with regards to these topics. And hopefully, like I've been saying all along on the first 10, 11 podcasts here, I hope that you can just walk away after a 30, 40, 45-minute podcast with some good tidbits, some good applications, some good mindset approaches in order to have a better workout, in order to have a better race, in order to have a better perspective on your training. So there's a lot of things in here. And again, I want to welcome you all. Thank you for listening to this podcast. This is nothing that has to do with sponsors. This has nothing to do to be an income stream. This has nothing to do with donations to my podcast, anything like that. This is truly just a medium to talk to many of you at once, to hear my voice, to hear my inflection, to hear my opinions, and, get a better idea of what I'm thinking, how I'm seeing it, and so on. I've gotten a lot of feedback over the years that how I write or how I sometimes look from afar is intimidating or very direct. And so I think the voice and talking about it and explaining myself and putting a little bit more reasoning behind it gives all of you, the athletes, a better insight into who I am, where I'm coming from, why I'm saying what I'm saying, and in many cases, why I'm giving the training that I'm giving. So anyway, I hope that's a good little background of what this weekly word is. I'm trying my best to do it every week. It's been a crazy week with the Rich Roll podcast. I also did another one in Australia last week, and another one, I didn't go to Australia, obviously. And then I did another one in German for an ultra running group over there, a coach. And so I had every intention this week of sort of translating what I talked about with that ultra running coach in Germany, and then sort of sharing the same information, the same insights, the same questions that he gave me, which he prepared me for, and that I put a lot of thought into, but there is no way I'm able to keep up with that workload this week. Many of you need a lot of insights and prep for training currently, and that isn't as much the training load, but how we're prepping for 2017. And that's sort of a good leeway. I don't really have a script for today. I have some ideas that I want to go over, but with regards to prepping for 2017, some of you have asked me, like, what does that look like and so on. So last week we talked a little bit about the perfect day. And when we backtrack from the perfect day, we can sort of work on what we want to focus on, what we are missing in order to have that perfect race day. And then it sets you up motivationally and with the right mindset and perspective towards, okay, that's my perfect day. That's what I'm working towards. And now what do I need to do in my training to stay focused on achieving that perfect day? I will say on a side note, in all my years of ultra endurance racing, as well as swimming, I've had a few perfect days. Not that I actually envisioned it, but they just kept unfolding and unfolding and unfolding into what truly was a perfect day. Whether that's a perfect strategy that just came about. Of course, I had it in the back of my head, but there's so many things that happen in an ultra endurance event that in order for the strategy to really unfold properly, you need to observe and you need to roll with the punches and understand everything that's happening around you. And I'll talk a little bit more detail about that. That's more the staying in the moment, staying within the game, don't get distracted, and so forth. And then, so that perfect day, so when you have those, that's the challenge. I was asked many years ago on the NBC broadcast for Kona. They asked me, what makes this race so appealing? What makes it so special? And of course, it's the World Championship. And of course, it has an aura to itself. But there's many athletes that are multiple year repeat athletes. So the aura of it, the specialness of it, the mystique of it definitely diminishes. And of course, then you're thinking of a result, and it's a world championship, and you're focused on the best possible result. But what I told them on that NBC broadcast when they were asking me, and I said, we've all had either a perfect day here, and we want to feel it again. So those are the Jan Frdenos, or an incredible age group win, or just an overall incredible performance for you, where everything went perfectly. And then there's those who are searching for their perfect day, and they want to have it at this race, in this location, with all the mystique and aura and history and story around it. So those two camps are what keeps us, or keeps many, so addicted to this sport, and especially to returning to Kona, or returning to Ironman, or returning to, Western states, or returning to any event that you feel you still have your perfect day ahead of you, and that it's within reach. You can taste it. You know what it might feel like because maybe you've had portions of it, or you've had that perfect day where everything just falls into place and you're in that flow state and it feels so amazing. It actually doesn't feel like anything. You just are in a zone, in that flow state where things are just happening easily. And at times, even in those moments, you have to remind yourself, wake up, go harder, go faster. This isn't a race. This is a race. You should be going harder. That's how good your day is going, that you have to force yourself to go even harder despite you're having a great day, and you're going to have a great result. So it's having felt that and wanting to feel it again, and then it's wanting to achieve that and knowing that you can achieve that. So that's a very, very big spectrum of people. And yeah, I think that's what we want to keep in mind with regard to that perfect day and the motivation and what it means. And what I talked about last week was more about breaking it down and figuring out what parts and pieces we know we can already execute a perfect day, and what parts and pieces we need to work on in order to bring it up to par or the level of the perfect day, whether that's in different disciplines or different sections of the race or later in the day, etc. So there's many ways to go about it. But then there's more the question with regards to 2017 and how to structure my race. And the challenge there is it's different for everybody, right? And like I've talked about with in another podcast about how to schedule or how to plan for a race, there's so many factors that go into it. And we talked about that with regards to family and work and finances and body type and interests and vacation or not vacation and so on. But the other part is that it is November, and it is a very difficult time of year to extend oneself into what it will feel like in the summer on being fit, on being motivated to race, and then wanting to put that to the test. And so it does require that planning now and that closing your eyes and connecting with that self of yours that you want to be, that you are going to train to be, that you are going to work hard through the winter to be better than you've ever been next summer, and therefore be in a place where you might want to race and you might want to test yourself and you might want to enjoy the fun of the fitness of the work you put into it. And so as you're planning the next season, don't just look at it as a checklist of things you need to do in order to have a season or to qualify or to work your way up to a 100-miler. Also put yourself into next May, June, or July, where you're excited about your fitness, you feel really good, you feel really healthy, and there's adventures to be had with your fitness, whether that's a long bike ride down the coast, I'm not talking the coast ride, or whether that's, some multi-day trip running, like I'm planning a multi-day trip down in Bishop, California, where I want to run location to location to location over a big circle, over 150 miles or something like that, over 4 days, just up in the mountains and hut to hut, and maybe some SAG in order to, have us meet us at different places. But those are the things that are helping you with your fitness. They're keeping you rejuvenated and excited, and they're keeping it fun and unique and different. You can organize them, you can plan them. It doesn't require a lot of time away from family or work. Or you might say, I really love that race, or I've always wanted to try this race, or I've always thought about getting into the lottery for that race. And so this is the time of year, and these are the lotteries currently, whether it's an ultra running or whether it's signing up early for a certain Ironman or half Ironman. That looks really appealing. So anyway, I just wanted to make that point as you guys are sort of working through this planning for 2017. Keep the fun side in mind, and we're as they said on ESPN many years ago, we all went pro in something other than sports or our hobby here. And so with that, it is supposed to be fun, and it's your free time, it's your lifestyle, it's your enjoyment. So try to find something next season where it's about you and the fun and the fitness and the health and the joy of being outside and living it. It might even be a multi-day hike along the Appalachian Trail with your kids, or Pacific Crest or something, just because you have fitness and you can get everybody outside and you can be the guy or the girl carrying the 100-pound pack. Again, there's a zillion adventures. Take your fitness and put it to not test, but put it to the joy of having fun. As you guys have heard in this first section already, I can easily go off on a tangent and just continue to talk about these topics forever, because I am quite passionate about what we're doing and the time and sacrifice that all of you put into this training, and balancing it with the rest of your days and lives and families and so on. So enjoy it, have fun with it. The other aspect I wanted to talk about today is there's a common theme of questions that I always receive, and so I wanted to push through a few of them here. And many of you are newer to me and don't know me as well, or haven't really met me. I coach people all over the world, all over the country, from China to Norway to Southern California to Maine to, just everywhere that you can imagine. And of course, I've not met many of these people. Many of you, not these people, many of you, the athletes. So reminding you and helping you with regards to the training and what I mean, and maybe some better explanation of certain things. And one of them is the difference between fast and hard. Especially in training, there is this confusion of what the difference is between fast and hard. First of all, fast to me is good technique, sound technique, controlled, strong effort, no flailing, no loss of control. The effort is strong and it hurts and it is way out of your comfort zone, but it is still connected to proper form and technique. Hard, on the other hand, is something I actually attach more to a negative sensation. You're out of control, and not in a big way, but your technique has gone into the dumpster. You're flailing a bit, you're barely hanging on. The value of doing the motions are no longer as effective. Whether that's in the pool and your form has just gone to all hell, to running, where you're running hard, but I mean, your head is back and your body is flailing and your turnover and drive is it's just not pretty. And again, in ultra endurance athletics, there is no need to practice that. We can get that deep into our lungs and deep into the effort with a fast approach. But hard is something that I like to get away from. Hard also means you're tense, you're forcing it. So all those things combined do not add up to something that the body can absorb as a training effect, that the body can adapt to as a training effect. And remember, and this is a very, very important point for everybody, training is all about a stimulus, right? We want to train effectively enough to stimulate the appropriate adaptation. I can't repeat that sentence enough because that's basically what training is. Training is your ability to train effectively enough to stimulate the appropriate adaptation. Now, effectively enough means not only sound technique and the proper changes in speed, easy and fast, but effectively enough also ties into your ability to be recovered, to not just do that workout completely shelled and tired. Effectively enough also means that you're getting the proper stimulus, which is part of that sentence. Enough to stimulate the appropriate adaptation. It doesn't need to be way out of the box. So when you're running, an ultra endurance event where you will probably be averaging anywhere from 9:30 to 14-minute miles, to all of a sudden go to the track and bust out 5:30, 6-minute miles. Now, there's a place to go a bit out of the box of 9:30 to 14:30 and run 7:30s or 8s, but how you stimulate that and what's appropriate for what you need in your running stride all ties into that. So, the difference between fast and hard is mainly that you maintain control of your form, of your technique, of your output, that you feel that you are using the gears you have available. And it might be a pretty solid gear, and you might be working pretty hard, but you are still in control of how you're landing, how you're pulling, how you're cycling. All the parts of whatever discipline you're doing, you are still in control of, you are still connected to, you still feel, and you can still stimulate a stronger effort while remaining sound on technique, or back off slightly in order to maintain technique. But flailing and hard and tight is not how we want to train. The part of that too is that anybody can train hard, right? I mean, you can take a teenager, a 20-year-old, a 40-year-old, or an 80-year-old, and anybody can just go out and train hard. But training hard to me is about a few things that has a negative effect. One, if you train hard and just go out and blow it out, your ability to train smart and effectively the next day and the next day and the next day and do that progression that we so often talk about, that it's about your ability to build the volume steadily and consistently versus yo-yoing with a hard effort one day and being exhausted, fatigued, sore, limited by potential injury the next day or 2 days down the road. I'd rather go fast and in control and be able to repeat it versus going too hard, let my ego show itself, and then the next day sit at my desk and not be able to train because I had to lay it all out there yesterday. And the other aspect of hard and fast, why I'm not a fan of hard and why I feel any clown can train hard, but it's the best athletes that can train fast, because as they dial up the effort, they're able to maintain the form, the technique, and they're paying attention to everything. And so while you're fast at this time of year, or when you're starting this fitness, or when you're starting in the sport, might not be as fast as you envision, but by doing it technically sound and proper form and being connected and paying attention, over time, your fast is going to get faster and more powerful than what the hard at this current time could have ever delivered. And constantly training a better fast will make you a better athlete. Many of you have heard me also bring into this discussion of hard and fast of how to train properly, whether it was this morning on the pool deck, to another day in classes, or many emails that you have received from me or heard me talk about. It is the ability to train fast on fast days and easy on easy days. We need to be able to change our speeds. And by training fast, there's a toll on the body. We can't always train fast. But if we train easy the right way on the days that it's designated to be easy, and you defer on it feeling too easy or overdoing the easy, I went too easy in workout, that is a more desirable outcome in order to have a better fast day. So, for example, what does that mean? If you have 2 easy days of workouts in a row and you're itchy, you want to work harder, I would rather think, for all of you, that you would stay at the easy zone and actually defer to going too easy and being somewhat annoyed, so that on that third day, when we have a really challenging workout, when I really need you to dig deep and maintain form, but really increase the effort and speed and power that you're doing, and really tax the body, I want that body to be ready and available and itching to go and ready to absorb it as well. Whereas, if we're constantly training a bit too hard, a bit too fast, a tick over what we should be, the effect of the fast days, of the high quality focus days, are now compromised. You can no longer have the appropriate adaptation that was designated for that workout. You can't absorb enough. You absorb some, but not as much as we would like if you come in a tick too tired and not having gone easy enough. So all this training is all about your ability to absorb the stimulus in order to have that appropriate adaptation. And by going too fast on easy days and too easy on fast days, you're stuck with a very big gray zone. And plenty of ultra endurance athletes already are in that state of having this issue. That state is not going fast enough when they need to in training, and not going easy enough when they need to in training. And that leaves you with a one-speed syndrome, and many of you have heard this from me before. Actually, most of my long-term athletes either have turned off the podcast by now or are rolling their eyes because they're tired of hearing of this, but I like to repeat it for everybody. And that is, having the one-speed syndrome is probably the most disappointing part of long-term results in ultra-endurance athletics. Whether it's in a triathlon, whether it's in an ultra race, whether it's in swimming, whether it's in anything you choose where you have a measured time and a measured outcome and a measured pace and a measured result, constantly training at the same effort will not make you faster. Constantly training at the same effort will mean that your training effort and your race effort are basically the same, which, again, for some of you, that might be a desired outcome, but not if you string it all together and have that day that is sort of nothing great, and you wonder why you're not improving. You wonder why you're not having that leap forward despite all the training hours you put in. Were you able to change speeds and find different gears? Did you have the appropriate stimulus to have the appropriate adaptation? Stimulus and adaptation happens via changes in speed, happens via going a bit too easy or saying it on easy days and going fast and digging deep on harder days, on quality days. I'm trying to avoid the word harder. What's a good example for this? Let's say your front derailleur on the bike breaks and you're stuck in maybe a gear or two on the back ring of your bike, right? The one on your rear wheel. If you're constantly training in those one or two gears, guess what? You will get very good and very efficient at those two gears. And you will get into probably a solid range of riding and ability in those two gears or one gear. But then when it comes to a race where you want to speed up, not possible in that one gear, or slow down, which means a ton of coasting and not the chain slack and all that, you will be stuck in a range of cycling. You will not be able to spin up the cadence that high in order to go much faster. And you're slowing down. Sure, you can always coast or stop, and it's easier to slow down, but you won't have an extra gear, literally, to go faster. And you'll have maybe all kinds of extra power because you've rested for the race, but you're still stuck in that one gear. You can't ask your body, in this case, via the gearing, to do more because you are stuck in one gear. And the same thing happens in your training with regards to a race. We want to stimulate different speeds, different gears. You want to go into a race knowing you have a first, second, third, fourth, and fifth gear, and in some case even a sixth gear, so that you can wind up the effort, that you know you can do that climb a little bit outside of your zones or much harder than you usually would. But you've seen it in training by going into fourth, fifth, sixth gear, that you can quickly recover back at third gear or second gear to going back to an aerobic steady state scenario. So we want to change gears. It's very important to have and understand easy on easy days, fast and quality on fast days. Those days where we require the body to really squeeze out every last ounce of effort. And if you do this enough, actually, you're A, going to be yearning for the easy days, and B, your body is going to be excited to then train really, really well on the quality days. And sometimes the quality days aren't effort or high intensity. Sometimes the quality days are just long or volume days, but they too take a lot out of you. And in order to have the power, the ability, the mental freshness, the connectivity to your body and form and technique late in a 5-6 hour run, late in a 7-8 hour training day for triathlon, late in a 3-4 hour swim, that comes because you're fresh and your body was able to recover on the easy days. Give it a chance to be successful. That's what I always say. Give your body a chance to absorb. Give it a chance to be successful. The other thing we talk about so much about is injury. And guess what? You cannot injure your body anymore by going easy. And if the default is I'm training, but it's easy, you're training. You're out there doing something. But if you're constantly going too fast, too hard, that injury will get worse, that injury will persist, and it will linger, and you might be stuck with a worse injury in a few weeks that leaves you dead in your tracks. So, as in the words that I've often said, you can't do any damage to your training plan, to your body, to your health by going easy too long or going too easy or even many sessions too easy. But you can do gradual damage by going a tick too fast, a tick too hard, on easy days. You will compromise your training, and you will compromise your health, and you will compromise the result and the improvement and the progression that we're looking for. And finally, part of this topic is rest days. Some of you may be newer to rest days and just don't like rest days. There's a few things I always say about rest days. They're very, very important. And if you are an athlete that believes they don't need rest days, then in my opinion, as your coach or as a coach, if I'm not coaching you, you're doing something wrong with your training. You should need a rest day. Your body should want to absorb 6 days, 7 days, 10 days of training and want a day off. Now, I'm not saying a rest day needs to happen every week, but a designated stretch of training needs a rest day. And over the years, my athletes have required different types of setups for rest days or even a recovery week. Some can train 12, 14 days straight and need 3-4 days off. Some can train only 6 days straight and need a day off. Others can train 4 weeks straight with good quality absorption and progression, but then they need 10 days lighter or off. Or not off, but, very much lighter. So rest days make me wonder, if you don't need them, I think there's something not happening with the training. Then the demands need to be increased, so you need it, which is a good sign sometimes that you're getting fitter. Or that you might be in that one speed syndrome and nothing's really taxing you, but also not stressing you. So it's this back and forth of, are we really improving? And then the other part of rest days is what I don't like when somebody says they don't need them or want them. I get into that conversation with them usually, are you really training? Or are you just exercising, right? If you're looking to do something every day just because you like to do something and you feel healthier and fitter with it and blah, 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 to me, that's exercising. And I know that's somewhat hurtful to many people to hear that, but training has a specific outcome in mind. Training, we're looking for that stimulus. Training, we're looking for the appropriate adaptations. And so rest days and recovery weeks are very much a part of that. If you're just doing something every day in order to, feel good about yourself, eat what you want to eat, and, you're somewhat addicted to that training every day, that's called exercising. Training is for an outcome, a purpose, an adaptation. Exercising is, unfortunately, just doing something every day in order to do it, in order to feel connected and feel healthy. And now, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying exercising is bad. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be connected. I want you to be fit, although I wouldn't really call exercising necessarily fit. But if we have a goal and if we have an event and we have an outcome in mind and an adaptation and a progression in mind, it is not exercising, it is training. So, something to keep in mind there. Lastly, with regards to rest days, and then I'm going to have to see how long I've been yapping on this podcast, is don't fill your rest days with more activities that are not sport-related. So, for example, I know guys who, it's a rest day, then they stay at the office and overwork themselves until 11 p.m. at night. I know people who on rest days, they fill their day up so much with so many other things, from shopping to laundry to I understand life gets in the way when we're training, and so catching up a day is great. But if you are truly doing the training the way we want it to, the rest days, I want you to sleep in the morning. Sure, Chris, that's sometimes not possible. You guys roll your eyes, just sleep in, good luck. But at some time in that day, where you usually would train, find time for yourself. Sit on the couch, do something, stretch, just go inwards for a bit. If you usually train 90 minutes that day or have a 90-minute allotment, go for a walk, get some fresh air, spend some time with yourself. And I know this is very difficult for many of you because you're busy and you're very organized and you like to plan out your day. But my piece of advice would be, don't fill your rest day with more stressful things. Add that training time into your rest day to focus on resting. Whether that's you sleep an extra hour in the morning, schedule some time for yourself in the afternoon, a massage, a mani-pedi, just you time. Allow your body to absorb some stretching time, a yoga class, meditation, things that don't put a big stress on your body, that allows your body to absorb, exhale for a little bit, lets the mind absorb and exhale for a little bit. And for me, I like to take my dogs on a walk. That's usually longer than what I usually do during the week. Or I definitely like to sleep in. So the last topic that I wanted to bring up in this podcast, because it's getting long, and I realize I'm the only guy talking, so these can't go that long, is, and it ties into our rest days conversation that we just had, and easy days, and the difference between fast and hard and stuff. And that is training time. Some of you that have trained with me, that know me, it's training time is sort of what I call my brain is on time. And what that means is I try to, during warm-up, put my day so far or what's ahead or my surroundings and try to put them aside and truly focus on the workout at hand, on what I'm doing, on reconnecting with my body for the first time today, if it's my first workout. And really thinking about the outcome I want from today's workout, what the goal is, how I'm going to help out in the training plan in order to execute it. That was a bad way of wording it, but what am I going to do as I'm training to ensure that the outcome will be achieved? And so what I'm trying to say is that when you're training, this is not just some, I turned the brain off for a while and just was zoned out and that was my training hour or my 90 minutes or however many minutes you're training. It's actually the other way around. I would like you to turn your brain on and to really connect with yourself and the purpose and the effort and the intensity and the focus and the technique and all those things to really also stimulate the mind through activity, through physical exertion that hour. And it's not a social hour. It's not really that much fun because you have a training effect and an outcome we're looking for. It's training. And you're engaged and you're focused, and this is the time of day where I am looking for that appropriate adaptation. And what am I doing? I'm fully engaged. And some workouts absolutely stink, whether that's hill repeats or higher quality efforts where you're just almost not fearful of the effort coming up, but you really have to get yourself psyched up for it. But that effect of a training workout, of having to get yourself psyched up for it, is also necessary for other workouts, whether it's easy and how do I want to ride this today and what kind of cadence and how's my pedal stroke and how's my running form and how are my shoulders with relaxed to my running form and how's my foot landing and what is my posture. I mean, there are so many things to think of to get a value and benefit, whether it's an easy workout, a quality workout, a long workout, and all this mental engagement, the brain being on, just prepares you better for race day when the adversity and the difficulties arise. And how is that? Because your ability to train your mind during training allows your mind to be available and think clearer and have better options and be able to evaluate itself during those long ultra event days. You have 10, 12, 13, 14, 24, 30 hours that the brain needs to be on event day. So if you don't train your brain to be on in training, you can't expect it to be able to be on for most of the event on a race day. So training time is brain on time, and really work on trying to see what you currently are doing. Does it take you 30 minutes to sort of wake up in the workout? That's okay, as long as you're noticing it takes me about 30 minutes for my body to wake up, but my brain is paying attention after warm-up. My brain knows what the outcome of today is, and I'm going to keep trying to work at it in order to get the result I'm looking for. But you have an opportunity every workout, every day, sometimes multiple times a day, to train your brain. And the brain being on, the brain being focused inward, the brain connecting to what it's doing, the brain connecting to the outcome of today's workout is all part of training. The mental training, the brain activity of all this while it's physically being stimulated has a huge, huge health effect, mental effect from a mental strength and firing effect, from a creativity of the mind to releases of dopamine and all kinds of positive flow in the brain. There's so much going on. Let's work on trying to take advantage or become aware or see, feel, notice all of it. And when you go back to work after a workout, or when you come home that evening after a workout, or whether you go to workout after a morning workout, notice how by engaging the brain and turning the brain on for training time leaves you more invigorated, leaves you more alert, leaves you more excited, leaves you with a better positive attitude, all those things. So keep in mind, training time is brain on time. And there's so many things to work with, work through, and have an outcome in mind as we train our progression. All right, I think that's it. I hope, again, that you all have made it this far in, that you're enjoying it. I please ask you to continue to send me questions. This week was great. I got a lot of questions from a variety of people from all over with regards to the podcast with Rich Roll, with regards to my own podcast from my own athletes and so on. So let's keep this forum going. Let's keep this dialogue going. And all this is, as I've been saying every week, it's designed to make you a better athlete, to keep you healthy, to keep you progressing, so that we can be better tomorrow as athletes as we were today, that we're better today as athletes than we were yesterday. And, I don't even have to throw that as athletes piece in there. Let's be better tomorrow than we are today, overall. Progression, not perfection. All right, you guys, have a great week. It's Sunday right now when I'm recording this, so have a great week ahead. Have a great holiday Thanksgiving week. Usually a great week to get some extra training in and some extra volume in. So that makes me smile, because anytime I can have you all train a little extra and see and taste what the ultra endurance, the longer weeks, the bigger weeks might be like, that gets me excited. Because I truly believe, from all my athletes on my roster currently, and I've never really had this problem in the past, I truly believe that the goals and the desires and the events and the outcomes that you're looking for, that we can achieve them. I know you can. I know we can together. And I look forward to working with all of you on all those goals and dreams and events and outcomes. They might not always happen as quickly as you want them, but I'm fully confident that with our work and our progression, that's the key, your goals will be achieved. Because if you're progressing, you are getting closer to achieving your goal every single day. That's what progression is. Have a wonderful week and a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.